I went into Sadnansi expecting a solid episode. I did not expect one of the strongest emotional setups for the finale. Sadnansi was an exciting episode on every level. It honestly surpassed every expectation I had. It was emotional, it had a great fight, and it tied perfectly into the season's overall themes. That said, I'm still getting tired of how much they keep baiting us when it comes to Marinette finally opening up about the lie. Welcome back to Jeffrey Talks, I'm Jeff, and today we're talking about Sadnansi. But before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. The episode opens up with a scene that we'll come back to later. Ladybug finally deciding to take the letter and tell Adrien the truth. But how did we get here? The storytelling style in this episode was so good because it kept me hooked the whole time, constantly wanting to know what would happen next. The episode continues where Lady Chaos left off, with Marinette trying to draw a portrait of the new version of Gabriel that Adrien has in his mind, while the B-plot focuses on Nora and Twig's love story, though in the French version, Twig is actually named Blondie, and I genuinely have no idea why they changed that. In any case, the animators unfortunately did not give us Arena Rouge or Carapace transformation, but we did get a semi-power-up sequence for Nora and Twig, which was unexpected but still fun to see. The episode starts with a game supposedly played in Shanghai, where one person says a secret and the other player has to guess whether it's true or not. Nino, of course, starts with a secret of him being Carapace, which was so funny to me, but really, the point of the game is to drag Nora into it so they can help her and Twig confess to each other, which eventually works. From that point on, the episode fully shifts its focus to the main plot, Gabriel's lie and the effects it's having on Marinette. Whether we like it or not, this episode is all about Marinette being on the verge of breaking because of the lie, something Alya has been noticing for the past few episodes, and Heart Fixer already showed us that Alya has been trying to understand what's going on with Marinette. There's even a parallel here to Gang of Secrets, because Alya first assumes that whatever Marinette is hiding is about not being able to tell Adrien her secret identity. But Marinette reveals that it's not that, it's that she hates lying to Adrien, and that this lie would be the wall between them. And that line is insane to me, because it feels like a direct callback to Wall Between Us, the song that was supposed to be a part of the Miraculous movie, where the whole theme was secret identity. In any case, Alya, being Alya, starts connecting the dots and realizes that Marinette's secret has something to do with the final confrontation with Monarch, especially that moment when Marinette disappeared and never told Alya the full story. That's why, in the post-credit scene, Alya is actively trying to find the holes in Marinette's version of the events and discover the truth for herself. And I think something really important this episode tells us is that if Alya discovers the truth now, her reaction won't be the same as what we saw in Revelator, because now she can actually see how much this lie is destroying Marinette. One detail Alya brings up during the confrontation is that she and Nora are half-sisters and have different fathers, and apparently the secret game reveals that Nora's father was not a good man. So yes, it looks like this season is still giving us more daddy issues. Also, I almost forgot to mention that Nora is also going to Shanghai, and Uncle Wang was actually mentioned in this episode, which could be foreshadowing that he'll play an important role in an upcoming episode. Anyway, as Marinette tries to draw this portrait of Gabriel, we start seeing her inner struggle translated into hallucinations and conversations with herself. Marinette knows that the version of Gabriel she's trying to draw doesn't actually exist. He was a cruel father who humiliated, controlled, and criticized Adrien. Then Marinette enters this hallucination-like state where she recalls all the reasons Gabriel became who he became. He wanted to have a child with the woman he loved, he searched the whole world for the peacock Miraculous, and he became Hawkmoth because he wanted to save his love. All of that in his mind was for Adrien's happiness, and that becomes the exact same reason Marinette is lying to Adrien now. It's also the exact same reason she wants to tell him the truth. But then, we get one of the most important lines in the episode.
Nous sommes pareils, toi et moi. Tu l'as dit lors de notre dernier affrontement.
That is crazy, because when you combine that with the fact that Marinette's achematized form literally resembles Chrysalis's illusion form, Marinette really feels like she's on the road to becoming the villain in the story where she was once the hero. And as the Green Goblin said,
"But the one thing they love more than a hero
Is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying.
And honestly, with Ladybug already having some Spider-Man inspiration, it would make so much sense if Marinette ends up going through an arc where she fails and becomes the villain of her own story. Gabriel may be dead, but he still holds the threads over Marinette. He is still the true manipulator of the story, and at the same time, still is a true villain. The battle with Sadnansi was something I enjoyed a lot. mainly because it's been a while since we got a proper long battle, and this one really let the Core 4 give it everything they had. From Carapace's shields to the Cataclysms to the Lucky Charms and Mirages, every major power gets used here, and the action was genuinely worth it. At the same time, it hurts to realize that Sadnansi's words about a world with no love, a world where love can't hurt people, and where love is treated like poison for the heart, is actually a world Ladybug herself would probably want right now, considering how much this relationship has been dragging her emotionally. But Rena Rouge being there really helps, and at the same time, it pushes Alya even more toward figuring out the truth, which is exactly why we see her trying to investigate at the end of the episode. And by the end of the battle, we realize that Twig and Nora did something Marinette still hasn't been able to do. They told the truth. That's the whole reason Ladybug breaks down crying after seeing that honesty is what saved their relationship. And that hurts, because Marinette is lying forcefully. She is in this situation because of manipulation, and no matter how hard she tries to fight against it, she basically can't. Then we get back to the scene from the beginning of the episode. Before that, we got those illustrations of the Agreste backstory, the Peacock Miraculous, and the wider context behind what Marinette is saying as she prepares to give Adrien the letter. The same letter that has been in the series since episode 7 of season 6, El Toro de Piedra. The same letter that is supposedly written by Gabriel. But before continuing, I have to say this. I really don't think that this letter was written by Gabriel. I think it was written by Lila, and the main reason I say that is because Tomoe is not even mentioned as an accomplice anywhere in the letter, and neither is the kingdom, which is such an important part of the Agreste storyline. Anyway, moving on to the scene itself, can we just appreciate the impact of the soundtrack? It has literally been playing in my head ever since I watched that moment, and is probably one of the biggest reasons the scene hit so hard. The animation and rendering supported the emotions perfectly too. Marinette is about to tell Adrien the whole truth, but then she notices the frog plushie in the background, Gabriel hunting the narrative once again, and just like that, she changes her mind. With tears in her eyes, she reminds Adrien that she loves him, that she truly does. And that raises the question, how long are we going to keep the truth hidden? How long is she going to hold onto that letter? And the craziest part of all of this is that this is the episode right before the finale run. Since Thomas Ostrach said the chronological order only really matters for the final 3 episodes, Sadnansi being episode 623 out of 626 means this episode ending on such a high emotional note makes it impossible for me to believe it won't matter for the finale. My only hope for the end of the season is that with everything going on around Marinette's dishonesty and this lie, I really hope it doesn't all get resolved in one episode. And I also hope Marinette or Ladybug doesn't come out of this completely clean. The execution of these emotions matters a lot to me, and I really hope the next episodes carry the same emotional depths this one had, if not even more. This is also the final episode of the season written by the amazing Caroline Torelli. Every single episode she wrote felt emotionally rich, painful, and gave me more depth on the characters. I really hope she continues working on future seasons because she clearly understands these characters and knows how to write them. Now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on this episode? Do you think we're finally getting close to the moment Marinette tells Adrien the truth? And do you think Alya is going to figure it out on her own? Comment down below and I'll see you in the next one.